4 Superhero moments. Rahab and the spies. Joshua 1-2. Rahab. The book of Joshua commences with Joshua, the recently chosen leader of Israel, making preparations to conquer the Promised Land. Joshua sent out spies to explore Jericho and neighboring area. Note all the superhero actions and apply them in your life. While scouting out the land, the two spies met a woman who was a prostitute, named Rahab. She let spies stayed in her house. Superhero action? She hid them on her rooftop, when the king sent messengers to search for them. Her house was on the wall, and she helped them to escape, and made them promise that they would save her and her family's lives. The spies then instructed her to hang the same scarlet rope by window, the one used to let them down from her house. Superhero action. Rahab helped the spies, because she knew God had given the land of Jericho to Israel. Rahab and the spies. Joshua 1-2. Now after the death of Moses the servant of Yahweh, Yahweh spoke to Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' servant, saying, Moses my servant is dead. Now therefore arise, go across this Jordan, you and all these people, to the land which I am giving to them, even to the children of Israel. I have given you every place that the sole of your foot will tread on, as I told Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon even to the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea toward the going down of the sun, shall be your border. No man will be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Superhero action. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall cause this people to inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Superhero actions. Only be strong and very courageous. Be careful to observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Don't turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may have good success wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it, for then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success. Haven't I commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed, for Yahweh your God is with you wherever you go. Superhero 1-2. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the middle of the camp, and command the people, saying, Prepare food, for within 3 days you are to pass over this Jordan, to go in to possess the land which Yahweh your God gives you to possess. Joshua spoke to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, saying, Remember the word which Moses the servant of Yahweh commanded you, saying, Yahweh your God gives you rest, and will give you this land. Your wives, your little ones, and your livestock shall live in the land which Moses gave you beyond the Jordan, but you shall pass over before your brothers armed, all the mighty men of valor, and shall help them until Yahweh has given your brothers rest, as he has given you, and they have also possessed the land which Yahweh your God gives them. Superhero moment coming up. Then you shall return to the land of your possession and possess it, which Moses the servant of Yahweh gave you beyond the Jordan toward the sunrise. They answered Joshua, saying, All that you have commanded us we will do, and wherever you send us we will go. Just as we listened to Moses in all things, so will we listen to you. Only may Yahweh your God be with you, as he was with Moses. Whoever rebels against your commandment, and doesn't listen to your words in all that you command him shall himself be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. Superhero that moment 2. Joshua 1:1-8. Joshua the son of Nun secretly sent 2 men out of Shittim as spies, saying, Go, view the land, including Jericho. They went and came into the house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab, and slept there. The king of Jericho was told, Behold, men of the children of Israel came in here tonight to spy out the land. Jericho's king sent to Rahab, saying, Bring out the men who have come to you, who have entered into your house, for they have come to spy out all the land. Superhero that moment. The woman took the 2 men and hid them. Then she said, Yes, the men came to me, but I didn't know where they came from. About the time of the shutting of the gate, when it was dark, the men went out. Where the men went, I don't know. Pursue them quickly. You may catch up with them. But she had brought them up to the roof, and hidden them under the stalks of flax which she had laid in order on the roof. The men pursued them along the way to the fords of the Jordan River. As soon as those who pursued them had gone out, they shut the gate. Before they had lain down, she came up to them on the roof. Superheroi seized this moment. She said to the men, I know that Yahweh has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land melt away before you. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea before you, when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon and to Og, whom you utterly destroyed. Supersize this one. As soon as we had heard it, our hearts melted, and there wasn't any more spirit in any man, because of you, for Yahweh your God, He is God in heaven above, and on earth beneath. I smell a supersize moment coming up. Now therefore, please swear to me by Yahweh, since I have dealt kindly with you, that you also will deal kindly with my father's house, and give me a true sign, and that you will save alive my father, my mother, my brothers, and my sisters, and all that they have, and will deliver our lives from death. The men said to her, A life for yours, if you don't talk about this business of ours, and it shall be, when Yahweh gives us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with you. Superhero moment. Then she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was on the side of the wall, and she lived on the wall. She said to them, Go to the mountain, lest the pursuers find you. Hide yourselves there 3 days, until the pursuers have returned. Afterward, you may go your way. The men said to her, We will be guiltless of this your oath which you've made us to swear. Behold, when we come into the land, tie this line of scarlet thread in the window which you used to let us down. Superhero this. Gather to yourself into the house your father, your mother, your brothers, and all your father's household. It shall be that whoever goes out of the doors of your house into the street, his blood will be on his head, and we will be guiltless. Whoever is with you in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand is on him. But if you talk about this business of ours, then we shall be guiltless of your oath which you've made us to swear. She said, Let it be as you have said. Superhero moment. She sent them away, and they departed. Then she tied the scarlet line in the window. They went and came to the mountain, and stayed there 3 days, until the pursuers had returned. The pursuers sought them all along the way, but didn't find them. Then the 2 men returned, descended from the mountain, crossed the river, and came to Joshua the son of Nun. They told him all that had happened to them. They said to Joshua, Truly Yahweh has delivered all the land into our hands. Moreover, all the inhabitants of the land melt away before us. Joshua 2:1-4. Joshua crossed the Jordan River. Joshua 3 verses 14-17. For the children of Israel to get to the promised land they had to ford the mighty Jordan River. Superhero moment. The miraculous crossing of Jordan River by the Israelite took place during flood time. This made it a doubly impossible feat, as they were crossing with a great multitude of people, livestock as well as all their possessions. God gave Joshua instructions that the priests with the Ark of Covenant would first enter Jordan. As soon as the priests entered, the water stopped flowing, the people and all they had walked through to the other side on dry ground. Superhero moment. As a memorial, God told Joshua to collect 12 stones from the Jordan River, and this would represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Bible story: Joshua crossed the Jordan River. Joshua 3 verses 14-17. It shall be that when the soles of the feet of the priests who bear the ark of Yahweh, the Lord of all the earth, rest in the waters of the Jordan, that the waters of the Jordan will be cut off. Superhero moment. The waters that come down from above shall stand in one heap. When the people moved from their tents to pass over the Jordan, the priests who bore the Ark of the Covenant being before the people, and when those who bore the Ark had come to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests who bore the Ark had dipped in the edge of the water, for the Jordan overflows all its banks all the time of harvest, the waters which came down from above stood, and rose up in one heap a great way off, at Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan, and those that went down toward the sea of the Arabah, even the Salt Sea, were wholly cut off. Then the people passed over near Jericho. The priests who bore the ark of Yahweh's covenant stood firm on dry ground in the middle of the Jordan, and all Israel crossed over on dry ground, until all the nation had passed completely over the Jordan. Superhero moment. Joshua 3:13-17. The fall of Jericho. Joshua 5:13-6:27. Introduction to the fall of Jericho. There are many amazingly supernatural battles fought and recorded in the Bible, but one of the most significant victories was the Battle of Jericho. A superhero moment. This was the first conquest of the children of Israel as they set out to possess the land of Canaan, called the Promised Land. After the death of Moses, God appointed Joshua as the leader of the children of Israel. Joshua was visited by a man with a drawn sword who gave him special directions to conquer Jericho. Superhero moment. Acting on instructions from the Lord, the children of Israel marched around Jericho for 7 days. When before their eyes the walls miraculously fall down, the soldiers went in and overcame the city. Superhero moment. Only Rahab and her family were allowed to live, because she had helped the spies. Joshua instructed the Israelites that everything found in Jericho was to be devoted to the Lord. They were not allowed to take anything for themselves. The Bible story of the Jericho fall. Joshua 5:13-6:27. When Joshua was by Jericho, he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man stood in front of him with his sword drawn in his hand. Joshua went to him and said to him, "Are you for us, or for our enemies?" He said, "No, but I have come now as commander of Yahweh's army." Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and worshipped, and asked him, "What does my Lord say to his servant?" The prince of Yahweh's army said to Joshua, "Take off your sandals, for the place on which you stand is holy." Joshua did so. Superhero moment. Joshua 5:13-15. Now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the children of Israel. No one went out, and no one came in. Yahweh said to Joshua, "Behold, I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and the mighty men of valor. All of your men of war shall march around the city, going around the city once. You shall do this 6 days. 7 priests shall bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark. On the 7th day, you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. It shall be that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, then the city wall will fall down flat, and the people shall go up, every man straight in front of him." Superhero moment. Joshua the son of Nun called the priests, and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before Yahweh's ark." They said to the people, "Advance. March around the city, and let the armed men pass on before Yahweh's ark." It was so, that when Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before Yahweh advanced and blew the trumpets, and the ark of Yahweh's covenant followed them. Superhero moment. The armed men went before the priests who blew the trumpets, and the ark went after them. The trumpets sounded as they went. Joshua commanded the people, saying, "You shall not shout nor let your voice be heard, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I tell you to shout. Then you shall shout." So he caused Yahweh's ark to go around the city, circling it once. Then they came into the camp, and stayed in the camp. Superhero this moment. Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up Yahweh's ark. The 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns in front of Yahweh's ark went on continually, and blew the trumpets. The armed men went in front of them. The rear guard came after Yahweh's ark. The trumpets sounded as they went. The 2nd day they marched around the city once, and returned into the camp. They did this 6 days. Superhero moment. On the 7th day, they rose early at the dawning of the day, and marched around the city in the same way 7 times. On this day only they marched around the city 7 times. At the 7th time, when the priests blew the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for Yahweh has given you the city." The city shall be devoted, even it and all that is in it, to Yahweh. Superhero these moments. Only Rahab the prostitute shall live, she and all who are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. But as for you, only keep yourselves from what is devoted to destruction, lest when you have devoted it, you take of the devoted thing, so you would make the camp of Israel accursed and trouble it. But all the silver, gold, and vessels of bronze and iron are holy to Yahweh. They shall come into Yahweh's treasury. So the people shouted and the priests blew the trumpets. When the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man strayed in front of him, and they took the city. Superhero these moments. They utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, both young and old, and ox, sheep, and donkey, with the edge of the sword. Joshua said to the 2 men who had spied out the land, Go into the prostitute's house, and bring the woman and all that she has out from there, as you swore to her. Superheroes save Rahab. The young men who were spies went in, and brought out Rahab with her father, her mother, her brothers, and all that she had. They also brought out all of her relatives, and they set them outside of the camp of Israel. They burned the city with fire, and all that was in it. Only they put the silver, the gold, and the vessels of bronze and of iron into the treasury of Yahweh's house. But Rahab the prostitute, her father's household, and all that she had, Joshua saved alive. She lives in the middle of Israel to this day, because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. Joshua commanded them with an oath at that time, saying, Cursed is the man before Yahweh who rises up and builds this city Jericho. With the loss of his firstborn he will lay its foundation, and with the loss of his youngest son he will set up its gates. So Yahweh was with Joshua, and his fame was in all the land. Superhero this experience. Joshua 6:1-7. Joshua deceived by the Gibeonites. Joshua 9:1-10:15. The people of Gibeon heard that Joshua had conquered, and totally destroyed Jericho also Ai. In fear for their own fate they sent ambassadors to Joshua, who took with them old sacks upon their asses, old rented wine bottles, all the bread of their provision was dry and moldy, old shoes upon their feet, and dressed in old garments. The Gibeonite told Joshua and the Israelites that they had come from a distant country, they wanted Joshua to make a treaty, and promised to protect them. Joshua and the leaders of Israel did not seek the Lord, but agreed to their request. Not long after they learned that they actually neighbors, they realized they were deceived. In spite of this they decided to keep their oath, and instead make them drawers of water and woodcutters. When the Gibeonites were attacked by enemies, Joshua and Israel rose to their defense. Superhero check. Bible story Joshua deceived by the Gibeonites. Joshua 9:1-10:15. When all the kings who were beyond the Jordan, in the hill country, and in the lowland, and on all the shore of the great sea in front of Lebanon, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, heard of it, they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and with Israel, with one accord. But when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and to Ai, they also resorted to a ruse, and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks on their donkeys, and old, torn up and bound up wineskins, and old and patched sandals on their feet, and wore old garments. All the bread of their food supply was dry and moldy. They went to Joshua at the camp at Gilgal, and said to him and to the men of Israel, We have come from a far country. Now therefore make a covenant with us. The men of Israel said to the Hivites, What if you live among us? How could we make a covenant with you? They said to Joshua, We are your servants. Joshua said to them, Who are you? Where do you come from? They said to him, Your servants have come from a very far country because of the name of Yahweh your God, for we have heard of his fame, all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon king of Heshbon and to Og king of Bashan, who was at Ashtaroth. Our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spoke to us, saying, Take supplies in your hand for the journey, and go to meet them. Tell them, We are your servants. Now make a covenant with us. This our bread we took hot for our supplies out of our houses on the day we went out to go to you, but now, behold, it is dry, and has become moldy. These wineskins, which we filled, were new, and behold, they are torn. These our garments and our sandals have become old because of the very long journey. The men sampled their provisions, and didn't ask counsel from Yahweh's mouth. Joshua made peace with them, and made a covenant with them, to let them live. The princes of the congregation swore to them. At the end of 3 days after they had made a covenant with them, they heard that they were their neighbors, and that they lived among them. The children of Israel traveled and came to their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon, Chephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath-jearim. The children of Israel didn't strike them, because the princes of the congregation had sworn to them by Yahweh, the God of Israel. All the congregation murmured against the princes. But all the princes said to all the congregation, We have sworn to them by Yahweh, the God of Israel. Now therefore we may not touch them. We will do this to them, and let them live, lest wrath be on us, because of the oath which we swore to them. The princes said to them, Let them live. So they became woodcutters and drawers of water for all the congregation, as the princes had spoken to them. Joshua called for them, and he spoke to them, saying, Why have you deceived us, saying, We are very far from you, when you live among us? Now therefore you are cursed, and some of you will never fail to be slaves, both woodcutters and drawers of water for the house of my God. They answered Joshua, and said, Because your servants were certainly told how Yahweh your God commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land, and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Therefore we were very afraid for our lives because of you, and have done this thing. Now, behold, we are in your hand. Do to us as it seems good and right to you to do. He did so to them, and delivered them out of the hand of the children of Israel, so that they didn't kill them. That day Joshua made them woodcutters and drawers of water for the congregation and for Yahweh's altar to this day, in the place which he should choose. Joshua 9:1-7. Now when Adonizedek king of Jerusalem heard how Joshua had taken Ai, and had utterly destroyed it, as he had done to Jericho and her king, so he had done to Ai and her king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel, and were among them, they were very afraid, because Gibeon was a great city, as one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all its men were mighty. Superhero checks. Therefore Adonizedek king of Jerusalem sent to Hoham king of Hebron, Piram king of Jarmuth, Japhia king of Lachish, and Debir king of Eglon, saying, Come up to me and help me. Let's strike Gibeon, for they have made peace with Joshua and with the children of Israel. Therefore the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon, gathered themselves together and went up, they and all their armies, and encamped against Gibeon, and made war against it. The men of Gibeon sent to Joshua at the camp at Gilgal, saying, Don't abandon your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us. Help us, for all the kings of the Amorites that dwell in the hill country have gathered together against us. So Joshua went up from Gilgal, he and the whole army with him, including all the mighty men of Valor. Yahweh said to Joshua, Don't fear them, for I have delivered them into your hands. Not a man of them will stand before you. Joshua therefore came to them suddenly. He marched from Gilgal all night. Yahweh confused them before Israel. He killed them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them by the way of the ascent of Beth-horon, and struck them to Azekah and to Makkedah. As they fled from before Israel, while they were at the descent of Beth-horon, Yahweh hurled down great stones from the sky on them to Azekah, and they died. There were more who died from the hailstones than those whom the children of Israel killed with the sword. Then Joshua spoke to Yahweh in the day when Yahweh delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. He said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand still on Gibeon. You, moon, stop in the valley of Aijalon. The sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the nation had avenged themselves of their enemies. Isn't this written in the book of Jasher? The sun stayed in the middle of the sky, and didn't hurry to go down about a whole day. There was no day like that before it or after it, that Yahweh listened to the voice of a man, for Yahweh fought for Israel. Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to the camp to Gilgal. Joshua 10:115. Conquering the giants of Promised Land. Superhero checks. Joshua 1:4-5-1-5. 15:13-15. 21:43-45. God had made a covenant with Abraham, when he called him to leave his family and land, that he would make the descendants of Abraham into a great nation. The promise was kept alive and was passed down from one generation to another. After many decades, the people have finally taken possession of the promised land. The Lord had instructed Moses to divide the land according to the tribes of Israel. Caleb, one of the 12 spies, was now 85 years old, requested that Joshua give him the hilly area. Caleb had great faith in God and believed that he would help Israel conquer the land, despite the fact that there were giants in the land. Moses had promised him land. Even though Caleb was older, he believed that God would help him defeat the enemies. Joshua gave the land of Hebron to Caleb. God helped Caleb to conquer the enemies and settle in Hebron. Bible story conquering the giants of promised land. Joshua 1:4-5-1-5. 15:13-15. 21:43-45. The children of Israel did as Yahweh commanded Moses, and they divided the land. Then the children of Judah came near to Joshua in Gilgal. Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said to him, "You know the thing that Yahweh spoke to Moses the man of God concerning me and concerning you in Kadesh Barnea." Superhero check. I was 40 years old when Moses the servant of Yahweh sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land. I brought him word again as it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brothers who went up with me made the heart of the people melt, but I wholly followed Yahweh my God. Moses swore on that day, saying, "Surely the land where you walked shall be an inheritance to you and to your children forever, because you have wholly followed Yahweh my God." Now, behold, Yahweh has kept me alive, as he spoke, these 45 years, from the time that Yahweh spoke this word to Moses, while Israel walked in the wilderness. Now, behold, I am 85 years old, today. As yet I am as strong today as I was in the day that Moses sent me. Superhero strength. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now for war, to go out and to come in. Now therefore give me this hill country, of which Yahweh spoke in that day, for you heard in that day how the Anakim were there, and great and fortified cities. It may be that Yahweh will be with me, and I shall drive them out, as Yahweh said. Joshua blessed him, and he gave Hebron to Caleb the son of Jephunneh for an inheritance. Therefore Hebron became the inheritance of Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite to this day, because he followed Yahweh, the God of Israel wholeheartedly. Now the name of Hebron before was Kiriath Arba, after the greatest man among the Anakim. Then the land had rest from war. Joshua 1:4-5-1-5. He gave to Caleb the son of Jephunneh a portion among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of Yahweh to Joshua, even Kiriath Arba, named after the father of Anak, also called Hebron. Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak, Sheshai, and Ahiman, and Talmai, the children of Anak. He went up against the inhabitants of Debir, now the name of Debir before was Kiriath Sepher. Joshua 1:5-13-15. So Yahweh gave to Israel all the land which he swore to give to their fathers. They possessed it, and lived in it. Yahweh gave them rest all around, according to all that he swore to their fathers. Not a man of all their enemies stood before them. Yahweh delivered all their enemies into their hand. Nothing failed of any good thing which Yahweh had spoken to the house of Israel. All came to pass. Joshua 2:1-4-3-4-5. Super actions indeed. Join us in this new superhero moments when we see God working through regular humans showing signs and wonders. We too are for signs and wonders. Have a blessed time and thank you for watching today. Hope you were motivated.